I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States
States
of
of America,
America,
Republic,
to
to
the
the
republic
for which
which
it
it
stands,
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's just the delay. We're all in the same time.
Thank you very much. So if we could do at this point, let's go ahead and start with roll call, please.
Bruce Angell.
Yep.
Mike Thomas.
Here.
Tim Dean.
Here.
Jan Berg.
Here.
And Yvonne Van Ornum.
Here.
Thank you. Next item would be that we are going to approve the agenda. Does everybody have a copy of the agenda where you were able to get one?
Yes.
Hopefully. Okay. So at this point, let's go ahead and do a vote for approval of agenda, or I asked for a motion for that.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
And then the way that we're going to be voting on these, Mike, is that we have to ask each individual for their vote on things. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll just go with Jan,
Yes.
Yvonne,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and Bruce.
Yep.
And I say yes myself. So the next item on the agenda would be approval of the consent agenda.
I just had one question. Do we need a motion to excuse Commissioner Thomas on those two meetings?
I don't,
He got excused, didn't he? Called
Yeah,
it
he-
excused
yeah,
absences.
yeah. We received an email from,
Okay, so we don't need a motion to excuse?
correct.
Okay.
So Chair is asking for a motion for approval of consent agenda.
I move
I
to
move to
approve.
approve.
Go ahead. Your turn.
Thank you.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. So let's start again. So it's going to be Jan,
Aye.
Yvonne,
Aye. Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bruce.
Yep.
And myself. Yes, thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda will be was public comment, and there were no applications for public comment today, and nothing has changed since the information I received earlier this afternoon.
Correct.
Thank you. So then we move on to design review. And first item on design review is going to be the Park Lot 15 Building B. That's PLN number 693.
Yes, so the applicant, Rainbow Construction, is seeking design review approval to construct the second building in the three-phase construction. Building A was previously approved. This is for Building B. The proposed building is consistent with the general mercantile use, which is allowable in the highway commercial zone. And based off of the application received on March 24th, 2020, staff is recommending to approve with 5 conditions. The 5 conditions being utility meters, electrical conduit, and other service lines may not be mounted on the facade, site and or screen, mechanical equipment, so not to be seen from the sidewalk. Service elements like mailboxes, utility meters, trash facilities, and lighting shall be incorporated into the overall design of the project. Use change of materials to enhance building features on all 4 of the sides of the project instead of just the one side currently, as well as reduce the size of the parking lot by providing clear pedestrian paths through larger lots. Mark pedestrian route with changes in paving and landscaping. Again, staff is recommending approval with these conditions.
So the way that I'd like to move through the questions or comments today is to call upon each person if they have a question or comment. That person will have that time, just so you, Mike, understand kind of how we're working through this. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right. So on the Park Lot 15 Building B, can we start off with you, Jan? Did you have any questions?
I did not have any questions.
None?
None.
Okay. Yvonne, did you have any questions on this one?
No.
None? Okay, thank you. And then Mike, did you have any questions on that?
No questions.
Okay, and then Bruce, anything from you?
Couple.
Okay,
The first three conditions are pretty standard when it just simply isn't included on the drawings.
Yeah.
But the other two aren't so much. I guess my question to Josh is if you had any conversations with the developer on the materials.
I have not spoken with the developer since the submittal, but I can certainly get into
How
contact with them.
how do you
But-
see that resolving?
It's pretty straightforward. It's what they already have on building A currently.
Okay.
So it'd be consistent with what they've already done previously.
And how about the reduction of the size of the parking lots by?
Yeah, that could be done by striping pedestrian paths throughout the lot. So I felt that was a pretty minimal change that could be done with civil. I just wanted to make sure it's carried through.
That's all I have.
okay. And then my question would be is, just for clarification on this, Josh, was that the building has been essentially flipped or turned so that the grade high, essentially garage doors are facing the south, and then the storefront is facing north. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So the labeling on the elevation themselves is incorrect or a bit misleading. So the street facing side is actually facing 166th place there. So the storefront is facing the street.
Okay, that was my only question. So with no any further questions from anybody, so then we will move forward on a motion.
I move that we approve the design review for the Park Lot 15 building VPLN 693 with the conditions listed by staff.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Mike. So then we will begin the vote. So Jen, how would you like to vote?
Aye.
Yvonne,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bruce?
Yep.
And I vote yes as well. So then we will now move on to item number 2 on the agenda. This is going to be the City of Arlington Station 48 PLN number 694.
Yes, so the applicant, the City of Arlington, is seeking design review approval for the new fire station off of Airport Boulevard. The design was applied for on March 25th, 2020. Based off of the site plan that was submitted on March 25th, staff has 2 conditions. Identify location for the public art and or bench with trash can to help service the airport trail, as well as provide returns on the screening wall to block visibility and headlights from the parking lot. With those conditions, staff is recommending approval of the design review application for Station 48 PLN 694.
Thank you. So again, we'll go ahead and move through the process of questions. So we'll start off with you, Jen. Any questions on number 2?
I just want to clarify, so they're going to have access both ways, correct? On 51st and then,
43rd.
43rd, yeah. It's emergency access only on 43rd.
okay,
They'll have a gate that they can control in order to access 43rd. But
okay,
They won't allow for through traffic.
thank you. That was my only question.
Okay, then we'll move on. Yvonne, did you have a question on number 2?
Yes. I was wondering on the public art, and is there a selection process that happens when there's that they're going to do a public art or a bench? Or do they does it just whatever the fire department wants or the city wants to do?
It's the park committee that does it, Parks Art and Recreation Committee, they make that determination.
Okay, I just was curious.
Yeah, they have a design concept for this location. There's a bench plan and there's a profile of the of the hills looking out towards the northeast. And so you'll see some of the peaks defined. They're looking at probably doing some type of a metal sculpture to show the foothills in a profile with an identifier on it. So people who sit at the bench and look out towards the foothills will recognize what elements of the foothills they're looking at.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then we'll move on to Mike. Did you have any questions on this one, Mike?
Well, I was just curious about their selection of the site. I thought that they would want to be closer to the freeway, but I guess, you know, because they're a minute away, add a minute or two if they go out 188th or that was all. Just a statement more than a question, I guess.
Okay. Okay, and then we'll move on. Bruce, did you have any questions?
No.
And I don't have any questions either. So Chair requests a motion.
I move that we approve the design review for City of Arlington Fire Station 48 PLN 694, and since there are no conditions,
So there's two.
oh, there are two. Okay, with staff condition.
I second.
Great. So we'll start the vote again with you, Jan,
Aye.
Yvonne,
Yes.
Mike,
Aye.
Bruce,
Aye.
and I am I as well. So that's unanimous on that one. So we'll move on again now to item number 3, which is Back to the Ranch LLC, PLN number 692.
Yes, so the applicant Back at the Ranch LLC is seeking design review approval to construct one 8,100 square foot warehouse building that will serve as storage for essential components to tower cranes that are being stored on lot 25 to the east, as well as a primary building of 13,662 square feet that will serve as headquarters for Spartan Concrete Incorporated. The application was submitted on March 24th, 2020, based off of the design review matrix. Staff has provided these conditions. Utility meters, electrical conduit, and other service lines may not be mounted on the facade. Ends of building shall be designed and articulated with windows and other architectural elements. This is provided on the north, east, and west sides of Building A, but not the south, and has not been addressed on Building A or Building B at all. Site and/or screen mechanical equipment not to be seen from the sidewalk. Service elements like mailboxes, utility meters, trash facilities, and lighting shall be incorporated in the overall design of the project. Use of modulation, articulation, and clear rhythm to reduce the perceived size of all buildings. Again, this is for all large buildings, so it has been provided on Building A, but not on Building B. Buildings shall be divided and given human scale by using articulation and/or modulations at 40 to 50 foot intervals. Again, provided on Building A, but not Building B. Use to change materials to enhance building features, and no buildings may have large areas of blank wall surfaces. Use architectural features and elements to enhance all building faces. Again, these two conditions are provided on Building A, but not Building B. Based on this, staff is recommending revisions be made prior to design review approval for the application for Back at the Ranch PLN 692.
Okay. We'll start the questions or comments. We'll start off again with you, Jan.
Do we know why they didn't provide that stuff for Building B? I mean,
Can you pass me the email I gave you? So I had an exchange with the developer last week. Thank you. So in terms of let's see, the rock siding. So it's there. Let's see. So it seems like the applicant believes that since the building cannot be seen from a public road, that this issue is not apparent. So they don't feel like that applies to Building B. And that has, at one point, says these are warehouses. Do they really need a clearly defined screen screening or any kind of design elements. To deal with this, I reiterated again, all buildings in the city of Arlington are required to provide for human scale and vertical modulation on all steel structures. I even provided color branding or change of materials or other some kind of design element that could be achieved on these structures as an alternative. And I reiterated that the design review board looks at these as all four sides of the structures and not looking at just a case-by-case basis.
Thank you. I don't have another.
Okay, you're all finished, Jan?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll move on to Yvonne.
No, I don't have any questions.
No questions? Okay, Mike?
That was the same questions that have been answered.
Okay, and then Bruce?
Yeah, and I want to reiterate that we started with 13 conditions, we now have 8. The 5 that were resolved were all about lighting and not about the building itself. And that, given that those other items have not been addressed, that staff had recommended that these things be addressed prior to approval, and I totally agree with that. And that I think this should be remanded back to staff for further negotiation.
Okay. And then was that everything, Bruce?
Yep.
Was okay. So I have one question. Can we go back to the other elevation that you showed? Not that one right there. In the bottom image, are all those small squares, rectangles with the little line, it looks like a check mark or something in them? Is that all glazing?
Yes.
So that's all glass. Huh.
Yes.
Okay. That was a question that's the only question I had on that. So,
Yeah, that's their proposed office area.
okay. So motion, chair asks for a motion.
I'll
Make
move
a
that.
motion to remand it. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'll make a motion to remand it back to staff until these get resolved. The conditions get resolved.
Second?
Second, thank you. We'll start the vote with you, Jan
Aye.
and Yvonne.
Aye.
Mike,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yep.
and I agree as well. So I am a yes. Thank you very much. So the next item on our agenda, which is on page 2, which would be our discussion items. And the first item on discussion item would be the 2020 comprehensive plan docket.
Good evening, just an update here. So the final docket was approved at council meeting April 6th. We're now on hold until after the stay home, stay healthy order has been lifted because we cannot hold public hearings. So we're in kind of a holding pattern with our docket moving forward. But as soon as we get some indication that we can continue with public hearings, we will move forward with that, with the docket process for this year. So until I hear any changes about that, we are just gonna hang tough on the docket for the time being. Second item tonight is I just want to inform Planning Commission that upcoming Monday at the council workshop, have a emergency ordinance going forward. The emergency ordinance is is allowed by Title 20 when simply because we can't have public hearings. And so this ordinance is a revision to Chapter 2064, which is our floodplain development regulations. And so periodically FEMA does an evaluation for their flood insurance studies. And so they changed the flood insurance rate maps. And by doing that, during this process, they make the map changes, which then necessitates the need to change certain portions of our regulations to reflect those changes that they've made. This has to be done prior to June 19th of this year. So, you know, with what's occurring right now, there's no way we could go through the typical process in order to have that adopted. So we will be implementing an emergency ordinance in order to get that, those revisions adopted prior to June 19th. In doing that, it allows us for a temporary adoption, basically. After a 6 or up to a 6-month period, after this adoption on the emergency ordinance, we do have to go back to a public hearing and have this adopted through the formal process. So I just want to let you know that that's just so you weren't wondering what happened and why we bypassed planning commission, but that's what's occurring. And once I have that document, I will share it with you at the next meeting. So. Any questions?
Oh, Tim's muted.
Oh, well, that's not good. Oh, his-
Thank you.
there.
So I don't have any questions. Jan, do you have any questions?
No.
Nope. Yvonne?
No.
Mike?
The only question I have is because this is the first time that I was able to do this, because last time I was working nights. So is everybody from home? I'm just curious because this seems to work very well. Or is Mark? Are you in town, or is everybody at home?
The three of us, CED is still staffing the office, and so we're at our office. We are keeping our 6-foot separation, though.
Okay. Yeah, I was
Bruce
just
is here
curious.
with us.
All right.
And then the rest of us are from home. So, and then Bruce, did you have any comments or questions on that one?
Do not.
Okay. And I do not as well. So looks like we are at the end of our meeting.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you very much. And have a good evening, everybody.
Great,
Good
thank you,
night.
everyone.
Thank you.